One perfect love family, wholeness and balance. What's up? Just Tree here. Hope you are having a beautiful day. I'm having a beautiful day. Been experiencing some bee relationships going on. We had our hive swarm because I think whether you may not have been on the last live, but I wasn't able to get into my hive and do a split because there was cross comb, and so they got pressured and they swarmed, and they were up in this tree this morning, and I was going to try and catch them and put them in my other box, but then they seemed to reintegrate back into the original hive, and I don't know if anyone out there is beekeepers, but this is a different experience for me as a beekeeper. So that's what's going on in my life today. Welcome, travel. Wait, that's hard to see out here. Travel One Music. What's up, a fellow musician? One love. That's what I wanted to talk about today. In fact, I'm gonna just move over here into the shade a little more so the phone doesn't fry out. Welcome to Monday Juicing with Jesse. I'm gonna go in and share with you my juices, my juice preparation for the week. I normally do a recipe, but today I'm gonna share about how to do some liquiditarianism, fast food style, how to do it quickly. So, sorry, there. Okay. But the main thing I wanted to talk about today, and I'm going to keep this pretty short today, is Michael, haha, but yes, Travlon as an artist. Awesome. One love. That's what I wanted to talk about today, is the greatest health secret that is also the greatest secret of transformation is joy practice. And that's something I'm trying to get back into, brother, is my original love, in terms of what captured my fancy, was music. And I've been a drummer since 3rd grade, and I'm 48 as of last week. So like 43 years playing drums, and it's been just the most amazing. That and working with nature, there's so many lessons in music and in relationship with nature. And actually, the great alchemist used to say that, I think it was Paracelsus that said, if you want to understand the universe, study music, because the alchemists they didn't compartmentalize knowledge like we do. So physics related to astronomy or astrology, related to chemistry, related to music, sound, color, vibration, and all of those things are fundamentally interrelated. Yes, cymatics is beautiful indeed. If you haven't studied cymatics is the way in which frequency and vibration organizes matter. And so if you put like a plate with fine powder on it, and you put a speaker under it, and you press the different keys on a keyboard, it will organize into different shapes, and the higher the frequency, the more complex the geometry. And so you get the Platonic solids and sacred geometry coming out through matter being organized by sound. So, my joy practice would be to go to playing music again. There's Celestial Ross 777, I believe. There's another brother musician, if I'm correct. And this is the thing, is that all of nature is music. So when you get into joy practice and your heart is singing, this is actually a key to longevity, key to like biological transmutation. This is a form of prana in terms of breatharianism, a source, if not the greatest source. Besides, probably the greatest source would be love. But they are uniquely connected. Your passion, your purpose, your joy, and your love are all a heart vibration frequency. So, in becoming breatharian, if you will, we are all breatharians, and we are all traveling back into the light. And it connects with this concept of cymatics. That after 2012, we were at the ecliptic, the edge of the ecliptic of our elliptical orbit around the galactic center, and we're now coming back in closer to it, and we're being washed with waves of light. And this light is a frequency, it's a tone and vibration, and it is waking up our DNA, our pineal gland, our pranic powers, our psychic powers. This is all going to open up more and more, and this is coming up through nonverbal autistic children, and through people getting into mediumship and meditation, and we're all actually struggling to integrate these new light codes. So something I'm really fond of to do that with is sun gazing. If you take the first hour, the last hour of the day, sun rays are attenuated by the oblique angle that they hit the atmosphere, and so they have very little or no UV, and they're not harmful to the eyes. And you can pick up the light codes or the vibrations of the day as a download for your body, but also for your mind. And these are ways we can integrate in these times: sun gazing, grounding, meditation, learning to regulate your nervous system is the way we're going to navigate. But also this thing of joy practice with respect to health and everything. There's so much going on right now. We're inundated with so much information and so many opinions on social media, like mine here. Absorbing all of this and integrating it is one of the best ways to do that, is through just finding your joy and having fun. So I just want to encourage everyone to go out there. I'm trying to integrate skateboarding and music more regularly into my life, and it's a little hard. And this is, I think the trial that we're all going through. You're trying to balance work, and family, and maybe some self-care time, and that's like part of it. And I really believe in this thing of like taking a third of your time for your self-care, your self-work, your self-development, education, a third of your time in service to the community, with your gifts that you've been developing in yourself, and a third of the time for basically rest, because you sleep in something like a third of your life or a quarter of your life, so distributing our energies as a breatharian, that becomes a massive part of this, is energy maintenance. Your psychic and spiritual energy, and your physical energy, and your outpourings thereof to support your family, support your business. And you can't pour from an empty cup. So getting into the joy practice, getting into energy management, and getting into practices like meditation, sun gazing, grounding, gardening. Gardening's supposed to be, or just exercise, physical exercise. Amazing ways to really regulate your nervous system and integrate these new light codes that are coming through. So I hope that's helpful to you. That's the main thing I wanted to share about today. That, and I'm doing a lot less social media now, purposefully, and I intend to keep it that way and do my best to make my sharings of higher value, and develop ideas more and share at a higher level. But in the meantime, this was the other point I wanted to make, is sometimes you have to just quietly make some shifts in your life, and you don't have to make it something you got to share on Instagram or social media. This is something I'm struggling to create new boundaries around my relationship with social media, with respect to, I see the more time I spend away from it, the better my mentality is, the more real and authentic I am. And I just feel that we really have to cultivate those things that are going to support our well-being more and more in order to survive these times, to manage spiritually, psychologically, what have you. We're all facing many challenges economically, EMF, diet, nutrition, all these kinds of things. And so my main objective and purpose with my body, mind, and speech, everything I can, is to create benefit, create support and value for and the causes and conditions of happiness for my fellow human beings. So I only share that because I think it's important of a mentality to develop as we go forth in the transmutation of our culture from 3D, to 4D and 5D, is greater caring. And as Ram Dass puts it, the spiritual path is to increase in your caring and decrease your attachment. So no attachment to the outcome. We're all gonna live and die in this world. Everything is comes to being and then is dissolved. Everything is impermanent. But we can develop something permanent through our habituation of our thought and moving away from the 8 worldly conditions that cause us to suffer, which is pleasure and pain, gain and loss, fame and disrepute, and praise and blame. So if we can develop equanimity where we are not swayed by whether we're going to gain or lose, whether we're going to get praise or blame, people dogging on us on social media. Just let it roll off our shoulders. Don't take it personally. It's someone else's damage. Those kinds of things are ways in which we're also going to grow into, as a collective, re-entrainment to integrity and nobility, sovereignty, balance, internally and in our culture. So, we're alive in a propitious time. It's really trying, but this is the great work, is the transmutation of shit into gold, and right now there's, plenty to transmute. And as Milarepa, my hero in Buddhism, says, the greater the demon army, the greater the blessings. And that whole thing in demonology of your demons are not, they're just a part of you that haven't had love and light. They're a part of you haven't accepted and cared for about yourself. You've gaslit. And something that we push away from, that we see in others, or etc. And that's what causes us to act poorly, But demons are also very much like symptoms in the body when you're sick. Your symptoms, thank goodness the body is wise enough that it will tell you that you're doing something wrong. And that's the same way with the sort of psychological end of things. So, anyway, that's it. Let's walk around the garden a little bit. It's my little soapbox moment. Thank you, for family. Hope you got something from that. We'll get into a little bit more practical, just what's up here. Check out the bees real quick. Let's see if I can I'm sure you can hear them. Let's see if I can. No, I can't. So there's my top bar hive, and they're just all busy in a flutter. And bees are interesting because they're very solar beings, and so are we. We're diurnal beings, and we're really light beings, and so are they. And the hive works like one being, with the queen is like the central nervous system. And they get up when the sun is up. They're golden. The honey is golden and healing, and they're one of those creatures in nature that works cooperatively for the benefit of the all. So there's lessons from the bees that we could embody as humans, to work together as a collective for the benefit of not just the human collective, but like the bees, the collective of all beings, because we're all completely interconnected. And as we move into this 5D vibration, we're gonna have to take on that responsibility of caring for all. If any being is left out of our compassion, then we, including ourselves, including politicians you hate, including, you know, your ex-wife, your heart will not be whole until you include them all. So yeah, anyways, yeah, there's not much to see in the garden besides what we shared last week. We still have the usual plant friends coming up, lots of alfalfa, so been juicing the tips of that. It's not in today's juice because, like I said, I'm doing fast food. And, been doing dandelion, a little bit of grass. Make a nice forest green juice where you take, just any grass. Like, you just use, the grasses here. And we'll combine them with some pinon, pine needle, and an apple and a lemon in the blender. And spin it up and squeeze it through a bag, and you get this delicious juice. Oh, I'm just gonna pull this drum in because it shouldn't be in the sun. So I'll just share with you real quick here what I do when I'm in a rush and have to get something for work real quick. Because I gotta get to some other things, and I'm in a rush, and I gotta get something for work, ready for work real quick. It's actually done, but this is one of my hacks. I'll get these Harmless Harvest coconut waters, and I usually do, a half gallon of juice is my breakfast first thing, and so I'll do 1.5 one of these with about a mango's worth of frozen mango and some vanilla and cardamom. And I just blend that up. Mango is like 90% water almost. So it's still pretty much straight juice. And so that's going to be my breakfast for tomorrow. And then I made a tea base here. This is got clover and corn silk and saffron and tulsi, and I'm gonna have that as a tea base for my Power Shake drink, which is my usual Purium drink that has included in it, spirulina, carrot juice, wheatgrass juice powder, amaranth, alfalfa leaf juice, like we were just looking at alfalfa. It has roots that are like 200 feet deep, and it mines a huge amount of nutrients and minerals. So it's one of the most nutritious things that grows all over the U.S. So I just add that to that, and I'll have a tea base with my superfood drink, and then I have a little bit of sprouts growing here. That I'll have a little bit of sprouts with a little dressing in a tiny bowl. It's my little salty snack, and then I'll make a nut milk elixir. I make nut milk. Last time I shared how to make nut milk, but I make one of these every 4 or 5 days. And then I'll put this in the blender with some medicinal mushroom powders or, Siberian ginseng, things like that, and mix in cacao or, whatever flavor of the week I want. Sometimes dandy blend, which is like a dandelion root detoxifying tea, liver detoxifying tea. So, and with that, that's my whole meal for tomorrow, and it took me, 15 minutes to get together, more or less, today. So, just a tip for those of you who may be juicing, right now. That's the other thing I wanted to suggest is right now is an excellent time to do a cleanse, as we're shifting seasons here. So if you want to take on your own 7-day cleanse, what I would suggest a way in is start with a couple days of raw, do a day or two of juice, and then a couple another days of raw, and then you can go back to your regular way of eating, or you can take that as an opportunity to make more of a transformation in your health and lifestyle. And I do coaching around that if you're interested. Another way to do it is just to juice cleanse. For the nice thing about a juice cleanse or a juice feast or a juice fast is you get flavor, you get satiety, you get H3O2, really divine water in the living fruit water or the living veg water, and you get the benefits of fasting, high absorbability, cleansing and detoxifying the intestines and the mucoid plaquing that starts to accumulate in your eliminatory tract. So there's various ways to approach this. I just finished my certification at the Juice Guru Institute, so be happy to guide you through that. Or like I said, you could do it on your own, or there's also our cleanse through Purium, the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation, which is a 30-day cleanse that will clean glyphosate out of your body, heavy metals, parasites. It's more of a complete thing, and you can actually use it as a platform, because anything you can do 30 to 90 days, you can do as a lifestyle change. So if you're interested in that, if you're struggling with getting your health on point and you need some support, some guidance, I'm so stoked to do this work. It's like my favorite thing right now. I still love making gardens, but honestly it's just tired me out, and I just want to work with helping people heal and to help develop this consciousness that comes from that, because when you heal your body, your temple is the temple of the Most High, and that can't even come in unless you make a vessel that is suitable for that vibration. So anyway, that's it for this week. I hope you got something from this family. Sending you all the blessed, and reach out to me if you're interested in a coaching call or a cleanse, and or if I can support you in any way in that. All right. One love, family. Be well.